to A Well-Designed Business. My name is LuAnn Nigara, and I'm so glad you found this podcast. Together with my husband Vince and our partner Bill, we have grown our company Window Works from the ground up. So I know and I understand the challenges you face in running your interior design business. I also know that your talent alone isn't enough to ensure your success. So on this podcast, we talk about strategies and practical steps to help you grow your business. But make no mistake about it, we have our share of fun here too, mixed in with those aha moments that I love so much. This isn't fluff. Nobody has time for that. Whether you are a new interior designer or a seasoned designer, I am here to help you create and to manage the kind of interior design firm that you dream of. It's straight talk and it's action. Are you ready? Let's get started. Hi, welcome to A Well-Designed Business. It's Power Talk Friday. I am so happy to tell you that I have my dear friend Sandra Funk on the show today. That's right. The CEO and principal designer of House of Funk is with me. And here's the thing. She has got this new, amazing gift for the interior design community. It is called the Interior Design Standard. If you're not sure and you haven't heard about it, wait until you hear about it. Now, and the other thing I want to say to you is if you are new to the podcast, then you don't know, like my loyal longtime listeners know, the special relationship that I have with Sandra Funk. I'm so fortunate that Sandra chooses Window Works, my primary company, to be the place where she gets her window treatments and awnings for her interior design clients. And it is through this, what started as a business relationship has grown into one of my most treasured friendships. And there are many reasons for it, but the thing that it starts with is I will always remember my very first time that I met Sandra on a project. And there was nothing very unusual or extraordinary about the project or the meeting or the requirements or anything of it. The thing that was extraordinary, though, was the way that Sandra conducted the meeting. I remember just the efficiency that she expressed during it, the questions that she had, her level of preparedness. And I just left and I thought, whoa, that was a nice experience with an interior designer. And she just had it all locked down. And every single meeting after that just kept happening over and over and over. And also what I noticed was that she was always revising her process. You see, I've watched her firsthand. She would say, hey, Lou, I want to have a conversation with you. From now on, we're going to do things X, Y, Z. Can you get on board with that? And I'd be like, yep, we can do that. Okay, a couple months later, Lou, I just wanted to let you know from now on, we want to be able to offer this to our clients, and this is what we need from you to do it. Can you get on board with that? Yep, I can get on board with that. And so I literally was constantly observing her, always thinking intentionally about how to make her business better. The other thing is, having had this front row seat to her business and spending so much time and growing into a fabulous relationship with her on a personal level, is that I have been there while she has gone through some bumps and bruises with her business. I've been there as she's had change in employees. I've been there when she's had to fire clients. I've been there when clients have fired her. And, you know, the growth that comes through these types of things can be exponential if you analyze the lessons that you get from these events. And that's what Sandra has always done. Whether it was a conversation where she was sharing with me the after effect of like, hey, this is what happened to me. Oh my goodness. And this is what I did about it. Or this is what's happening to me now. And what, do you have any thoughts or ideas or help for me on it? Right. So it's been, this is, you know, it's funny because this is something where I'm telling you point blank, my personal experience with this particular principle of this particular design firm. This is truly the hashtag smart lady. This is how this hashtag was invented. It was invented for women like Sandra. And so I'm very excited to share with you today her new interior design standard. And I think you're going to be very excited. You're certainly going to get the opportunity of a lifetime with this particular program that she's come out. Okay. So if you happen to be new to the show, let me just tell you that Sandra Funk, as I said, is the CEO and the principal designer of House of Funk, which is located. She has offices in New York and New Jersey. But as she says in her own words, she will service clients anywhere the nice clients are, right? Sandra is particularly driven by the experience, both for her as the principal, as the designer, as a boss, as a colleague in her own office, but also client facing. You're going to hear a lot about that in the show today, how important that is to her. All right. Her firm has been featured in Elle Decor, Huffington Post, Apartment Therapy, Luxe Interiors and Design, Aspire Home and Design. I mean, awards and publications up the giggy, okay? This is a talented interior designer, and she's just an outstanding, remarkable person. And I'm so thrilled and grateful to call her my friend, and I'm absolutely so thrilled and grateful to share her with you today. So, and before we do that, I just want to say thank you to another friend and colleague, Sarah Danielli, the CEO of My Doma Studio. If you have not checked out My Doma Studio yet, please do so. This is the place where you can run all of your projects efficiently. All right, you've got integration with QuickBooks, you have client communication, vendor communication, you can create mood boards there, you can sell your packages through My Doma Studio, you can sell your product, you can sell your design services, all right through My Doma Studio. So it is a one-stop shop to keep everything organized so that you can do the thing you like, which is to design, right? So to get your free trial, please go to mydomastudio.com/a well-designed business. That's mydomastudio.com/a well-designed business. Alrighty. Are you ready to hear about the interior design standard from Sandra of House of Funk? I hope you are, because this is absolutely off the hook. Hey, Sandra, thanks so much for coming back to A Well-Designed Business today.
Thank you so much for having me. This is amazing.
So, Sandra, you are just like taking the world by storm here, which I am not one bit surprised. But you are literally, like, you know what's so funny is people are saying to me, thankfully, gratefully, humbly, I accept it, I love it, I acknowledge it, you know, oh, you're changing the industry, you're opening up the community, you're opening up the communication, you're creating collaborations, yada, yada, yada. And you know what? Yay. I believe and I love it, and it's my mission to do just that. So it's great, you know, when somebody, it was so funny. I'm going to go completely on a tangent before I even get to let you say hi. So here's like my brain just went racing. Do you remember the episode with Nicole Heimer when she said that when people tell you things about your company and you think to yourself, that's exactly what I want to be known for? She goes, that's when you are living your brand, right? You remember that?
Oh, exactly.
Right? And so I was just about to say, when I hear those things and I receive those compliments, I think to myself, that's awesome, because that's exactly what I want to be in the industry, right? And so, but the thing is, where I'm going all this is, you are just taking it to a whole nother level, lady. Like literally opening up your interior design business and giving it out there and saying, this is word for word how I run an interior design firm. Talk about breaking down the barriers of competition. Talk about breaking down the barriers of not helping each other. Like, my goodness, Sandra, this is revolutionary.
See, and then you said the things that we've been working towards being in our brand. Thank you so much. Okay, number one, you started this. 100% inspired. Obviously, I always go back to that story of us standing on the sidewalk in front of a client's house and you saying, I've got this idea for a podcast. And eventually the client came out and offered us wine because we stayed so long talking about it, which was hysterical. And on brand. Anyway, so so I go back to, this is inspired by you. And again, we were talking about this earlier. I started speaking with you at a design conference, and I had a natural interior designer following that just started to build based on the camaraderie of talking to another designer who's actually in it and doing it. And it just was, fast forward 3-4 years later, it was like we're all struggling in our own little private silos, and that is unnecessary, like really, really unnecessary.
It's true, right?
That's where it all comes from. Yeah.
So here's the thing that really super, super intrigues me about this is because, thankfully, Window Works has been a very successful business for going on almost 4 decades now. But the thing is that I know about Window Works, it is not just the superpowers of my husband. It's not just the superpowers of myself and our partner, Bill. There is this component of it that when we started our Window Works, it was part of a franchise, you see, and I have said this on podcast interviews outside the industry, in my book, in writing for Window Fashion Vision magazine. I have said if you can approach your own business, no matter what it is, interior design firm, window treatment firm, bricklaying company, as the outlook of a franchise, then you can really increase your chances not only of being profitable, successful, but succession planning. And the standard is not a franchise. You are not franchising House of Funk, okay? It's better than that, really, because you're literally giving the operations manual of how to run House of Funk, but I'm not going to have to pay you royalties for it, and I don't have to do my advertising the way you say, like all the things that we used to have to do when we were a franchise, right?
Exactly. Yes, exactly. And it's funny. And I think my brain works that way. I've heard, of course, your podcast over the many years and our personal friendship, like knowing that Window Works started that way. My father also, his business, he was a large truck tire retreading plant, and it was a franchise.
And I didn't know that part.
Yes,
okay.
Yes, and a portion of it was a franchise, and then there was a portion of it that was not. And so, a little complicated and whatever, but the structure and the backbone of it came from a franchise. And so I think that something ingrained in me that I guess at the end of the day, my feeling was I've been to hell and back. I've had my dark night of the soul. I've had I mean, I'm sure there's more coming, but I've had all the lessons in the last 14 years in business, 20 years in the industry. I don't feel like every single designer has to go through all of that. Why are we not sharing? Because it's such a drudgerous, long, slow, uphill battle. Why not share the wins and share the structure that helps alleviate so many of those problems right out of the gate?
It's so true. I mean, again, like when I think about when we started Window Works, we didn't know anything about window treatments. It's so funny. We talk about in the industry, the opinion of, do you need a degree in interior design to be a designer, right? And how many designers don't have degrees and are successful? But like I often use sometimes people will sort of ask me thinking I'm going to come down on you should have a degree, right? Like you kind of get where somebody's question is going. And I think to myself, I don't have a degree in window treatments. I got news for you. You know what I'm saying? Like, but we did open with a structure, and we did open with, this is how you'll answer the phone. This is how you'll intake an order. This is how you'll process an order. This is how you check a bill. This is all the job description for an installer, for a sales rep, for an office coordinator, yada, yada, yada. Now, we have tweaked this, revised this, made it our own over 40 years. Like I've said, our systems have systems. But the idea is it's starting with the playbook. It's how is a successful window treatment company run? Okay, and what can we do to make it our own or tweak it? And you're doing exactly that. You're not saying, here's how you figure out how to run a firm. You're not saying, let me give you the big picture and then go do it. You're like, no. Here, sweetie, this is how I run my firm from hello to goodbye.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We are literally using the principle as we go through and have documented and have spent literally, it's close to 18 months when it's all said and done when we launch, planning, thinking, dreaming, scheming, and documenting it. And the premise is, if it's a repeatable task that is written down, it will be included, period.
Right. If anybody on your staff from from you to everybody on included, if they do any particular thing more than one time in their lifetime working for you, it goes on a document.
It goes in a document, it becomes templated, it gets reviewed and approved by me once, not every single time that email goes out or that thing happens. But then the beauty is now it gets documented into the standard and it becomes what we hope one day will feel like an industry standard.
Right. I just love it. So when we think about some of the components in it, it's your template for trade day, it's your email structure and communication for clients, it's your social media calendar, it's your vendor agreement. Like, walk us down some of the things that you guys have included in the standard.
Sure, definitely. So I think the biggest give is our design agreement, which is very, very detailed in that it also outlines our entire project structure, timeline, and of course, fees. The second biggest give, although debatable, is the fee calculator. So we are working on trying to get some standards in our industry around pricing. It's a flat fee upfront model with purchasing and execution going through our firm with a reasonable retail charge to clients. So that together, when you really start to get the numbers right and you start to work on your vendors and trades and you start to get the right pricing model in place, that is the key to being a profitable business. And then it's every template, every system, every way we run a job, every email is templated in my firm. Every structure is templated. Nothing happens by chance or hope. And then it's that structure that allows you to scale and be repeatable. And of course, getting your pricing right will make you be able to be profitable. Being able to structure and scale and duplicate yourself, right? By reviewing everything once, getting it how you want it, and then delegating it out. That'll allow you to start to scale.
No, it's the truth. I mean, we're going through succession planning at WindowWorks right now, and even as systemized as we are, like, it's so funny. I was saying on a show recently, some of our systems are documented from 1978. Let's be serious. Incredible. And there were, no fax machines, let alone cell phones or emails then, right? And so, but the thing is, the core system is exactly the same. It's maybe how do you call reach the consumer, or how do you, alert the installer. Now it's like you send a message to your installer through the CRM, but then you looked at his eyeballs and gave him instruction, right? So we're actually now, though, taking that binder of our systems that is about 3.5 inches thick, because it actually is paper, because it is from 1978. Yep. And my task every Monday since January is going through it and adapting it for our 2020 business model. And it's just taking it and saying, oh, all of this is the same, but let's explain it in language that comes to 2020. And so that, we announced to our staff that the goal for 2021 is that this is a new, revised, complete, absolute, from A to Z on how to run WindowWorks. And this is what you've already created with the design standard, right?
Yes. Yeah, that's
amazing.
It. Yeah. And it's funny because the design standard already existed because it's my entire business.
Right.
And for me, I built my business. We started in 2005. So I was always, and that's actually one of the first talks we did together was tech and design. I've always been tech forward. I come from a finance background, business process consultant, and I ended up doing web consulting way back when that was all the rage before the dot-com crash. And so coding and web development and designing usability and all that is really exciting to me and interesting. So I've always been involving tech and involving systems and involving as much efficiency with the tech as I could in my business. So luckily, everything is already documented and and in that way, it's very smooth to download it all, document it together. And for us, it's been constantly evolving. If something tweaks, I tweak it real time and I let the team know and I update the main template and then it's tweaked from there going forward.
It sounds like similar to what I was just saying. You've had your process documented. And now in preparation for the standard, it's like you're going back and you're looking at every single thing item by item and saying, is this fully fleshed out? Is this, is it missing anything? And am I tweaking anything? And am I making it, this work of art, basically?
Definitely. Yeah. And also just for us, the big push has been neutralizing, right? Instead of saying Rania, we're saying now the business manager.
Right.
Because we were so, we're so people based so there's a little bit of that time neutralizing, but
right.
Yeah, otherwise, yeah, it's a wonderful, I was saying this to my team. The worst case is we have such a clean, revised, updated system. The best case is we get to share it.
Yes. Yeah. Awesome. It's so awesome. Now, Sandra, this is just not theory. It's not theory at all because it is how you run your firm. But you also did a beta round with designers to make sure that what you were putting out there was understood, that really answered the questions. Tell us about the experience of running, about 5 designers through the beta.
I think there was 4.
Oh, 4.
So 4 designers did a every single module, full beta testing on the design standard. And it was great. We had Zoom calls where we were just able to talk through what was good, what was bad, what did you need more of, where did you need more time. We ended up we know how much information is coming, so we ended up breaking down a lot of the modules into smaller bite-sized chunks because it's very information heavy. It's just a lot. It's a lot of templates, a lot of words. So we broke things down a little bit further, clarified points where we know it so well, we didn't realize that we needed to really explain this one little detail. So it was a wonderful, lengthy, I think we were in beta for probably 3 months. So a wonderful deep dive into, we get it, can someone else get it when they come in and look at it? And we have had such lovely rave reviews from the beta testers. So we're thrilled to include them in the coming launch as well.
Yeah, no, I love it because that really is the final, this isn't theory. We really did. Like you said, I love the line, something that seemed easily understood by you was not necessarily translated to some of the designers in the beta, because that is the Achilles heel, right? We know something so well, we don't realize sometimes where we're leaving information out. It's like my theory. I've never, ever, ever, ever asked a client for directions to their home, even before there was, GPS, because the way to your house so easily, you're going to leave 3 turns out and I'm going to end up in, Oshkosh. It's like, I forgot that red light. Yeah, awesome. But you were so sure that it was the second red light.
I love it. I often pull in my driveway and have no idea how I got home.
Right.
You're in your own head. You're doing your own thing.
That's exactly right. You don't realize, it's actually 4 lights till I get home or whatever, right? So that's such due diligence on your part to take that extra layer of research and effort and to put it out. And what did you find, Sandra? Were there certain things in the process of revealing your entire business to these designers that you thought was going to be, they're going to love this, and maybe another thing was something that they really loved? Anything like that come to mind?
Oh, we had a funny one. I can't remember what module we were even in, but we were going through, and it was something so simple. I can't remember what it was. I'll try to remember. But I want to say it was like, send an actual piece of the fabric to your upholsterer or something, but just systematized thing that we've learned over time. When you get the sofa and it's butter yellow and it was supposed to be cream because somebody transposed a number, it might be worth cutting that little corner. And we just have this great audio of one of our betas, Nancy, going, "That is the best thing you have said today." And I was like, really? All the other stuff? No? Okay. But it was like, there were those really hysterical moments. And of course, we recorded all the beta testing calls so that we would have these little nuggets to share with you all.
Oh, that's awesome. I think that's great. It is funny sometimes what will hit someone differently than we have our expectation of, this is the thing they're going to love, right?
Totally.
Okay. And how about did you guys experience any learning lessons that you thought were, that also maybe surprised you, things that you were like, that really isn't translating or anything? I don't know, just any lessons.
Yes, I think what we learned was, for instance, we put our trades through our company and we beta tested from all over the country. And we learned that that is definitely, depends on where you live, how you
Mm,
handle that. So um, we went back to our lawyer and we went back to our structure and we made sure that that component of putting the trades through us is not necessary, um, financially or structure wise, that it is either they are hired directly by the client or they're going through you, and we've made concessions with that. So yeah, little things like that that are really important but just needed to be found out and figured out. One of my favorite big aha moments was when I really dug into the process and the procedure of why I don't charge for the initial meeting. We had a mind-blowingly like huge aha moments going around on the Zoom call, and because it's when I dug in on the why are we not charging for that meeting. And I know you don't charge for your initial meeting.
right.
I know some people that initial meeting is active design work, and that's different.
Mm-hmm.
You're not actually coming that first meeting with I'm going to finish this design. You're prospecting a new client, and I do it the same way. I'm prospecting a client. I consider that first meeting marketing all the
Right.
way.
Right.
And so when I explained it and we went through step by step how it sits in the process, I don't go on a first meeting with any client that I am not totally done my research on, totally vetted, and totally want to go get that job. And that's the difference, right? Because I'm not running around wasting my time. I'm thrilled to be standing on their front porch about to meet this new kind whale that I can't wait to sign.
Right. And so that's interesting because, this is a big, big thing, right? Oh my God, you
Mm-hmm.
can't go out without charging and blah, 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 right?
Mm-hmm.
And of course, we're going to get 1,000 emails, like just take it to the bank, Sandra, okay? And they're going to talk about us in the Facebook groups and say, you
Yep.
can't believe everything you hear on a podcast. Like, I know it, it's coming, okay? And I don't say it in the groups, but I say, if it's working for a particular person, it's working for that person. That's not debatable. Okay. You can debate whether you see the value in it or not. You can debate whether you will do it for your own firm or not. But when someone comes on my show and says, this is what I'm doing and it's working, it's not debatable. But you know what I mean? And
Right.
so if you come on my show and say, I can't decide if I should do this or not, and one time I did it and it worked, another time I did and it didn't work, well, that's debatable, right? We're going to talk about that. But when someone like yourself comes on and runs a successful business and says, I don't charge my first consultation, it's not debatable. That's my little PSA right there. Okay.
Totally,
Okay.
totally.
So, but what I love is that true to, House of Funk and Sandra is that you're not just going on any consultation at no charge, that you have a process in place that you determine whether or not that consultation is worth your time to go on. And you see, and that is the nuance of anything that a successful entrepreneur does. And that's why I will never stand and say to people, this is the only way, no matter what we're talking about. Because if you can tell me what you have put into your thought process, if you can tell me what safeguards you have put in your case, if you can tell me how you have vetted and determined whether it's worth it to go or not, I'm perfectly happy to hear your way to do it, right? So give us some of the ways that you do vet potential clients, Sandra, and decide whether or not you will take that first consultation at no charge.
Sure, and that's an entire module in the standard. It's the entire potential client process, and that is really it's a process because so let me clarify first. We call it a first meeting, not a consultation, because
Okay.
we are not doing design work.
Love it.
We are marketing. We are meeting and greeting. We are having our first dance, right? We're trying to decide if we're going to go on date 2. Number 2, I do think that there is a absolute time and a place for a consultation charge meeting, but that is a separate product, right? So that is someone who wants me to come over with my paint decks and my graph paper, and we're going to right then and there do design work in the moment.
Love the distinction. I love it.
Totally
It's clear.
Different. Yeah, that's totally different. The person who wants that service is not the person that wants the service that I focus on, which is full service luxury interior design. The person that I focus on is building a house from scratch, is going to do a gut renovation, is walking into a new home that needs to be completely decorated. So I'm looking for, our minimum is a 6-figure budget. So I'm not looking for a quick win. I'm looking for someone to spend my next 18 months with. So there is definitely a time and a place for I'm coming over and there's a fee before I walk in your door consultation. That just doesn't fit my ideal client avatar.
Right. I love that you explained the distinction. It's, first of all, just the language. You know me with words. The language, it's a first meeting, not a first consultation. And so for everyone listening, what Sandra is saying is, it's okay to have a first consultation that you charge for. It might be the first time you technically meet them, but if the intent is to go and consult and share your design advice all day long, get a check before you go, right?
Totally.
100%.
Yes, and I would market around that differently. I would have that on my website differently. That would be a completely separate service because I don't want it to be fuzzy.
Right.
Right.
And that's also a very viable service, right?
Exactly. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely viable service. I love it all day long. It doesn't fit in my model of trying to land the next kind whale, the big clients with the deep pockets that are also nice. We have that also nice caveat after many years. We took any of those big whales, but nope, we need the nice ones.
One other thing before you go back to your meeting explanation in this consultation, charging for the consultation model. Very often, I've noticed in my experience in doing these 500 plus interviews that there are two types of designers that do this consultation model. One is the designer that even after 10, 15, 20 years in business loves it, loves the one-off consultation, loves to go in, make $300-400 for the hour and a half, and be done. You know what I mean? Like it's not a matter of your experience. It's not a matter of, I didn't graduate yet to this level or this type of service. There is a valid choice to be made if that's your model. And then the other model is, quite frankly, Sandra, I hope you agree. I'm curious to know and find out on air and maybe be surprised. But if I'm a designer that's maybe in business 1 to 3 years, and even if my goal is to be a high-end luxury interior designer, as I string together those opportunities and I not only earn my chops and I craft my skill and I just from my business expertise to my design talent, it's a very viable business model to have 2 consultations a week at $400 a week and have $800 a week to pay the bills. We agree or no?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
I totally agree.
Good. I'm glad because I tell people that.
Yes, no, I absolutely agree. And I think that it's also it's a mindset, right? It's a thing like that. For me, I don't do it because I'm really reserving myself for. I really am focusing on the bigger luxury full service, right?
And you have the ability to track that pipeline of luxury full service at this point in your career.
Yes, yes. And for me, I'm a deep thinker. I really like to noodle on things. I like to sleep on it. I like to have amazing aha moments of insight while I'm driving or showering about projects. So for me, that quick win consultation, it just never appealed to me. And that's okay. It's a different thing. Right. And it is a thing for people all the way up in their career and all the way at the beginning. It says, you're right, time and experience has nothing to do with that. It's a different service than landing a big full service long-term lengthy project in my mind.
I agree because we have all different seasons of our career. You could be 20 years into your career, you could have 3 grandchildren, you could be living half the year in Florida, half the year in New Jersey, and you don't really want 18-month long projects. Let's be serious, right? You want to make your couple grand a week and move on. So I just, again, the PSA for the disclaimer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, totally. I think it's just a different product. Okay, so for me, the vetting process to make sure that I'm only going out on first meetings with people that I absolutely want to work with is really locked down. So it is a first touch base, and then we schedule a call with my office manager. That call is scripted to make sure that we get some very important details. It's obviously name, address, email, phone number, but it's also project scope, any decisions have already been made, location, etc. Obviously, when we ask for decisions, we're talking, have they hired an architect yet? Are they, do they have a builder yet? Or do they have a budget in mind? We don't ask them directly if they have a budget, but that would be the time for them to fess up if they do. But what we do say is, our projects are typically in the six-figure range. How does that sound to you? So we put out an anchor on numbers because we need to know that we're talking to a whale and not a minnow.
Right.
And we have a service for minnows too. We absolutely have online design for that very reason. We don't want to turn away anyone who's a fan, and we love, 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 love online design as well. But if they fit that bill and they acquiesce that yes, six-figure project budget is what they're thinking, then we move into doing a ton of research. So we're trying to find out, we're Googling the address, of course, to try to find out home value. We're checking proximity to our office, and we're just generally going to be doing our research on the people that have reached out. Also, so important is my office manager, Rania, has an incredible sense of intuition. So we do a gut check. It's really important. Were they kind? Were there red flags? Were they rushing? Were they imposing their personal thoughts on how I should run my business, i.e. telling me how it was going to go down? Those things are all really huge, and it's very, very easy to figure all of that out in that first phone call if you absolutely are targeting in and listening.
Mm-hmm.
So then, so Ryan and I have a powwow. We talk about, is this fitting our avatar? Is this a fit for online design, full service design? What's the deal? We make a decision together. And if I decide this is a really good potential client for us, then we go ahead and book me visiting the home. And in that visit, I'm doing the same thing. You know, it's simple things. So they offer to take my coat. Do they offer me a glass of water? Do they introduce me to their mother-in-law who's standing there? My senses are all turned on, and I'm trying to take in as much as I'm trying to give. So I'm trying to educate them about my firm and who I am and what I do. At the same time, I'm trying to decide, do I want to have an 18-month relationship with this person? Because it's just as important to me.
I love it. I love it. Now, let me ask you a question. When is it necessary to clarify that when Rania says to them, you know, our projects are typically in the six-figure range, does she say design fees in the six-figure range? Does she say, like, you know, furnishings and design fees? Like, what's that clarification there?
So if they ask a follow-up, she'll say all in. We're looking at six-figure with project budget and design fees. I mean, generally speaking, it's project budget. We like it to be in the six-figure range. But I think at that level, we're a little bit more flexible. Most people have no idea what interior design costs.
Right. And
so that is why we don't outright ask them for a budget, because when they do bring up a number, honest to God, it's like $30,000. And what's the scope? We're going to gut renovate the kitchen and all the bathrooms in the house. And I'm like, on what planet? People do not know what it costs. And if you watch a design show and they do that little budget at the end, that is beautiful entertainment. And that is all.
Yeah, it's fantasy. It's like the princesses that fly through the sky.
Yeah, it's good.
Right.
It's
no,
really
I
good
love it.
Entertainment.
Yeah. And the cool thing is you're just dropping the figure. If somebody just even hesitates at our projects are typical six figures, that's one little, Rania check mark that she says, yep, they like kind of flinched right there. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And I got to imagine that it's not a knee jerk on your part. Like if all the other things are pretty sounding okay, maybe it is just a matter of educating them and having them understand yada yada, like your appliances are going to be $15,000, like stop. Mm-hmm. Right? Like, mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
100%.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And even just a clarifying question, is that all in or is that with design fees? Like, okay, so six figures is feeling like an upper limit, right? Mm-hmm. But at the same time, we will totally get involved. To me, honestly, home value and kind humans are more important than the budget of the first project. Sometimes you're going in there to do a tryout round. I always joke, one of my clients that I worked with for 10 years, maybe 15, you definitely did both of their houses with me. I did their mudroom first. Right? I did their mudroom. I was like, we got 6,000 square feet here in a big old fancy house, and I'm working on the mudroom. But it was a tryout.
Right. For both of you.
Yes, of course.
Right,
Yeah.
right. No, yeah, it's like you could see the potential, and for whatever reason, each of you were like, let's just do this one space, but there was a reason. It's like I said a few moments ago, you have your reasons. I watched you all these years in business. I've never noticed you ever do something without a reason why. It's always, blah, blah, blah. Another client who wanted to just do a mud room, and if the house value was a third of their house value, you probably would have said, sorry, you're not my client, right?
Right. Yeah. And of course my gentle no is actually you'd be a great fit for online design. And I have a hard time saying no to people, and so there's my gentle no, is to redirect them to another product that's totally within their budget.
But here's the thing. You will say the no to them.
Oh, yeah.
Right. You know what I'm saying?
I did for years before I developed online design. Absolutely.
Now, let's take that apart a little bit, because it's one thing when the fit isn't right because the budget doesn't match, and therefore the gentle no goes right into e-design. But there's times when it is the big whale, but to your language, not the kind whale. So walk us through, like, they think you're terrific, they love what you're going to do, and you maybe, Ron, you had one or two red flags in the consultation, but you both went, worth your time, let's just see. Then you get in, and then you get two or three more red flags. And let's just say, Sandra, because you're making a point to often say kind humans, kind whale, like this is a value for your firm. That's the thing. And so if really it just comes down to you just don't feel like they're kind and you're going to like the process being in business with them for 18 months, how do you say that?
That is the one where we just say, you know what, we've noodled on it, and we've looked at all of the, had the conversation internally, and, thank you so much for your time. We're not going to take on the project.
That's it. That's it. Just rip the Band-Aid.
Yeah. Thank you so much for your time and consideration. We're not taking on the project.
Okay.
Period.
And
I don't all want to get to that point in our careers where we can choose to not take on a project. It actually feels very fabulous to say out loud.
So, but here's the thing. Again, the choice of words. I love the choice of words. We know that your internal reason is because they're not a good fit. But when you say we're not a good fit, which is a typical thing that we've heard on the show a gabillion times in 4 years, we're not a good fit. I love this. It's a little aha for me, because the choice of words, we're not a good fit. You still every right to use your Sandra Funk phrase of stand in your space and say it. But it does make almost like the knee-jerk reaction of the person like, what do you mean? What's wrong with me? What's wrong? But when you say we've decided not to take the project on, that's a final statement. There's no debating it. There's no, there's no blame on your part, no blame on their part. It's just we've decided not to.
Yep.
It's actually a kinder way to say than we're not a good fit.
You know what? Because we're not a good fit does imply
something's wrong with somebody.
You missed the mark somewhere. Something fit our avatar.
It's that stupid boyfriend breaking up with you. Totally. It's not you, it's me. It's like, shut up.
Exactly. You're right. And it's not a fit. The obvious next question is why not?
Right. It opens a discussion that you have closed, and that's why the selection of words is so important, because yours is still respectful, but it's final. And have you ever had, Sandra, somebody push you back and say, wait a minute, I don't understand. Why did you take the consultation with me? Why did this? And what's the problem? Have you ever had that? Or is it just that you're so clear in it?
Aha. Another great reason not to charge for that initial meeting. No, I owe them nothing.
Right.
They owe me nothing. I thank them for their time.
Right.
No pushback.
Right. I love it. I just love it. I just love it. And I have to say, that's a new one for me. And I love that. And of course, you're going to hear me attribute that to you on the podcast and the gabillion episodes going forward.
Thank God I dropped a nugget. It's been 300 episodes since we've talked last?
Yeah. No, I mean, we're at 500 and something, and you were 145 the last time, right?
Yep.
So, that is. And I truly do love when you can craft a sentence that my thing is, everybody saves face. You want to always show respect. You always want to show gratitude. You always want to have no one leave the room feeling less than. But we still run our business by our rules, period.
Yep,
yeah.
Exactly.
I love it. I cannot stand it. I love it so much. Okay, so this is a whole module, is walking a designer through all of this thought process.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the entire, that's the meat of the potential client module. And again, there's an email template for, we believe we're a fit. Let's bring you in for the proposal meeting where we're going to then show you all the numbers and introduce you to the team and wine and dine you a little. And then there's a template in there for,
we're not taking this project.
We're moving you to, the budget precludes you from full service. Let's talk about online design. And then there's a template for thank you, we're not a fit, or thank you, we're not doing it. Yeah.
Thank you. We're not going to take the project at this time. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And of course we've talked about on the show that not to make up reasons. Like, you don't need to make up a reason, because if you make up a reason, sometimes, like I've heard people say, well, I could just say to them, well, I can't take it now because I'm too busy. Well,
I hear that all the time.
Yeah, and it's just so counterproductive to you as the owner of your business, because then the person can look at you and say, "Oh, that's okay. I'll wait. We could do this next year." And then you're like, "Well, I'm going to be busy next year too."
Right. Yes. Or the worst backfire, right? You found someone who's a whale, but they're not kind, and you tell them that reason because you don't want to just stand in your space and say no. And then they tell all their other good whale friends that you're too busy to take on their project.
Right.
That's the worst possible outcome.
Oh, good point.
Lie.
Right. Yes, that's a good point, because now they're sitting at their country club and saying, yeah, don't bother calling. She's not taking projects now.
Yeah. And if they're nasty, which is why I didn't take them on in the first place, they're like, she's too busy for me.
Yeah.
Doesn't want my money.
Yes. Yes. Love it. Okay. So share, is there any other little tidbits in the criteria there? So you look at the home value, and you're looking at the home value, Sandra, because you have your background in finance, of course, that if the house is worth, $400,000 and they're talking on the phone with Rania about a renovation that's $500,000, that might be a red flag. Whereas if the house is a $3 million value and they're talking about a $500,000 renovation cost, that's in line. Like, tell us a little bit about that.
Absolutely. And I know this well because I've been burned by this one a few times. It took me a couple of lessons there to get that one through. So, right, if you are looking at your home value and your investment amount need to be in proportion. And you kind of need to look at, like, it could be the dilapidated home on a street full of mansions, and then they want to drive $1 million into it, and you're like, yeah, let's do it. That's a great value in that property, and it can stand up to. So you're not just looking at that property, you're looking at the area, you're looking at comps. I mean, you kind of need to become a little educated on how much could they put into this house before it makes no financial sense, where we might get halfway through this design and they're going to get turned down for the loan that they're thinking about getting on it. Because a lot of people will finance, home updates and things like that, or they are doing it with cash and something, that some realtor friend stops by and goes, oh no, you can't put $300,000 into this place. You'll never get it. Right. And boom, your project just gets pulled out from under you. So, also, that people need to think about getting reassessed when they do a big renovation. You pull that permit, you open yourself up to that. If they didn't do their research on the front end and they figure that out halfway through the project, again, could get dropped. So it's just smart business to do your research and really be looking at the temperature of what's going on in the real estate market before you go, yeah, let's do a $500,000 project on that $300,000 house on a street full of $500,000 houses.
Right.
Like that would just be a huge, nope, that doesn't make any sense.
Okay. And for clarification, you're not necessarily educating them on this. So you're just internally saying this has the potential to go sideways when we're knee deep into it, so we're going to decline the project? Or do you say to them, I'm curious, the home values in this street are generally worth X to X, and by the time we make this investment, you're going to be, have more money into it. Like, do you say all that, or do you just like check it yourself and say no?
I'm typically checking it myself way in the beginning before I've ever met the client. Ranya's had a conversation. I'm going there and looking at it. If something seems like really out of whack, but they're talking about, we've met with architects, this and that, then I'm like, or we Google them and they're the chairman of this or the blah, 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 that. I'm like, there might be something more to this story that I'm not seeing. And then I might have the meeting and ask the questions. But I would be really, I'm in like Google Earth mode and looking around and again, Googling them, Googling the home values nearby, what have you. But yeah, sometimes it's a sentimental thing, right?
Right. That's what I was wondering.
My grandpa
Sometimes,
grew up in, and I don't care how much money I put into it because it doesn't matter to me. So yeah, you don't just make a blind decision on that stuff. There are times though when someone calls and they're like, well, we're not really sure of the budget, but the home is $300,000 home value. We know our typical budgets are six figures. It's probably not going to work out. Right.
Right.
Right off the bat.
Right.
But we'll look at it. We always take a look, but I don't always go to the meeting.
Right. I understand. Okay. I mean, it's true. I was thinking the same thing. In our area here, there could be somebody that makes, multiple millions of dollars. We are right here by Wall Street and has a house that has been in the family for generations and is just like, this is what we want to do,
Totally.
So,
or of course, smaller house living, just there's a big push to that. Mm-hmm. So just because someone's in a townhouse or a condo, especially townhouses and condos, you can't judge a book by its cover with that one because they could be downsizing and they could have more money than they need and they want to make it beautiful and nice. So, that is not a hard and fast, but it is helpful.
I can absolutely see how it would be helpful. And it's something no one's ever talked about on the podcast in 4 years, Sandra. Oh, interesting. Yeah. So another little nugget there. Now, one thing I do want to backtrack back to is because it does come up a lot. You mentioned how one of your lessons in going through the beta was that different parts of the country have different rules. So here you do have all of your vendors and trades under your umbrellas, but in other parts of the country, that is like, I think California, there's different places I've learned that it's just not legal. It's just not even possible. And so there is the ability, even though this is the exact template for running a design firm, there are places where it's a free country. Don't do that part, right? I mean, come on, the system will still work, right?
Correct. And we made concessions to make sure that works either way, if you put the trades through, if you don't. We have a trade agreement now in the system that is extremely strong, and it gives the same benefit to which putting trades through gives us. You need to charge a project management fee for overseeing that separate instead of built in. And you need to have an agreement between you and your trades regarding timelines, communication, just general site guidelines, politeness, like you don't smoke on anyone's property ever. Don't you ever park in that client's driveway unless they tell you park in the driveway. I'm not coming back home. I'm not swinging in. The babysitter's not going to be trying to load the kids and has to walk out to the street,
Right.
Like those simple things that you would think are obvious are not. And it is so helpful to say those out loud. But yeah, so we have a system set up so that if they go through or they don't go through, it doesn't matter. We're setting guidelines and standards for how the trades will interact. That if you bring a trade into a client's home, that trade is your resource. Even if they go into direct contract with the client in the future, if that client reaches out to that trade, which obviously so many of my loyal trades have always done anyway, yourself being a front runner, will reach out to me and say, your client just called me directly. How do you want to handle this?
Right.
And it's a simple precedent that you'd think doesn't need to be written down, but it sure does.
No, it's true. And the thing is funny because I just recently had a conversation with a designer, a coaching call the other day, that's in the middle of this really contentious one particular thing with a contractor and the client and herself. And this is a valued contractor that she's not wanting to lose the relationship with, but there is a level of conversation that, has to be managed where the contractor is showing as much respect back to the designer to earn that loyalty from the designer. And that was like a part of the nuance of our conversation. I said, look, because he's good at what he does, and because you've done good projects together, and because you feel like there's no one else if you lose him, if he doesn't come to the table as your, advocate, and doesn't come to the table as your team member, and he's willing to put you out there hanging to dry with the client, I'm not so sure how valuable he actually is.
Totally.
Right?
Well, absolutely. And that's so hard because we do grip so tightly when we find a good trade. I mean, we really do. And vendors and all of it, because that's, again, and I talk about this too, that's a big part of our value, is that we have been there, we have done that, we have vetted, we have tried, we have tested on our own homes. Like, that's a big part of the value that we offer clients. And I don't think it's talked about enough to the clients that how valuable that is. But try to get like a one-off sink fixed in your faucet fixed in your house, and try to get a plumber to come over for one faucet. It's hard.
It is.
It's very hard. And then they're going to wear their boots through your house and park in your driveway when you're trying to meet them at home to let them in. So finding those good vendors is huge, and having them on your speed dial, that I give you a lot of work. So you're going to go fix one little leaky faucet because it's my client and it's important to me, and we have a relationship.
That's right. It's so true. I had that on a recent conversation on the podcast. I can't remember which episode it was, but I was talking about how, when, it's the nuance of teaching my showroom administrator and the installation coordinator how, yes, everybody is important, but some people are more important. It's like, because there is that layer there, right? And it's like, and the thing is that even there, that's where language is very important, because we know it. If I've got a full install schedule and House of Funk calls and says, we've got a client with a nursery, the motorized shade isn't coming down, she lives on the waterfront, the sun is pouring in, we need Billy or Carlos there this week, we're just not going to be like, we're kind of booked for a few weeks, Sandra. See ya, bye. You know what I'm saying, right? But it's teaching that nuance of, well, why is the person that's in the schedule for Wednesday not as important? And it's like, well, they are as important, but we have to do this. Like, that this is the relationship here. This is what comes back for this. And then it's teaching the newer admins that work for me not to say the words, hi, we had something else come up that we have to do. We're canceling you. It's like, what?
Right. That's not the language. That's not the language. You know how Rania does it. I love how she does it. She's like, the schedule has shifted. And that's it. The schedule has shifted. I hear her on the phone. When everything hits the fan and I have to go tend to a kind whale, the schedule has shifted and everything gets rearranged.
That's
just like that. No excuse. Right. She doesn't need to know if my kid got sick or, a kind whale called. It doesn't matter. The schedule has shifted. Can I put you in for XYZ?
That's it. And it's so true because, the more nonsense that you make up, the less believable the whole darn thing is. It's just say what we're doing. We're moving things around. We apologize for the inconvenience. It's unavoidable. Can I please put you in for Tuesday of next week? That's all that outside voice. And the inside voice is because House of Funk needs us in your spot.
Because someone called that needs your spot. Exactly. But that word that comes to mind is loyalty.
Yes, right.
And that's what that is. That's the loyalty between the people who keep coming back and have your back. It's so important. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I was thinking about when we were talking about that contractor who doesn't have the designer's back is setting expectations way before it's a difficult conversation.
Yep.
And that's key for me, is setting up. I expect to have quotes within a couple of weeks. Does that work for you? Do we need to change that number? But what is it? Because we schedule our entire project at the beginning. So if I have said to my clients, I'm going to see you in 8 weeks with conceptual design and high-level budget numbers, but I can't get numbers out of my trades for 6 weeks, that leaves me no time to design anything.
Right.
So I need to know that up ahead, and then I need to plan accordingly. So it's getting that part figured out, and it's getting that relationship of when I bring you a client, that's my client. And when you bring me a client, that's your client. I will do the same for you.
Right. Right.
You
And it's
know?
so true because it's like in the beginning, it's when I have you out for trade day, I need these figures within whatever it is, 2 days, 2 weeks, whatever it is. Is that okay? Can you do that? Well, when you say yes, then it's yes. If you can't, you see, this is my other thing. If you cannot, it's okay to say, I'm sorry, that's not reasonable in our system. And now you get a chance to come back and say, well, that's a deal breaker for me. Or you get to say, all right, I can meet in the middle. You can have, I want 2 days, you want 2 weeks. Like, can we agree to 1 week? And the point you're making is know it ahead of time, right?
Yes, and for us, it's because I'm trying to pipeline my jobs. I'm trying to pipeline my cash flow. I'm trying to pipeline my team, where they're going to be, what they're going to be doing. So and I hear this all the time, like, I'm just waiting on quotes. I'm just waiting on quotes. I'm like, oh my God, you haven't set up that relationship very well.
Mm-hmm.
If they don't know when your quotes are due back to you.
Right. Exactly right. Very good. Very good. And it's funny because in the conversation with this designer, the homeowner called for a powwow between the homeowner, the designer, and the contractor. And it was supposed to take place at a certain time during the day. And I specifically counseled her, you got to have a conversation with the contractor first. Like, don't go in there, the three of you, all he said, she said. You and him come to agreements on what he can do to hold his end of the bargain up. You come in as a team, right?
Oh, yes.
Come
United
in
front.
as a team. Because if you go in three people with opposing, ideas about what success is going to look like, you're going to leave with all three people pissy, right? I said, so you reach out to him and say, look, you're my guy. We've done lots of projects together. When we're done this, I want us to be okay, but somehow we have to leave my client whole in the process of this. So what can we agree to that you will own, that I will own as responsibility, and that we will offer to our client as the concession or the give or the whatever? Like, don't have that debate in front of the client. That's crazy
God, no.
pants, right?
No, and that's actually in our trade agreement. Like, all communication will be like, if there's a problem on a job, it's not like Billy, who's installing, says to the client, hey, yeah, this rod's too short, I don't know what they were doing, or this design is wonky, this isn't going to close in front of this radiator. Never. He goes back, somebody reaches out to us, we talk through the
Solutions.
issue, the solution, the whatever. We go back. The first time the client hears there's a problem is when we come back with a solution together.
Exactly right. Yep, absolutely. So, Sandra, tell us how it's going to work. How do interior designers, access the standard, and what are the dates, and what are we doing here?
Perfect. Okay. And again, this is like skipping the line. It's like having a VIP person at Disney take you right to the front of the class, by the way. So, okay. So the interior design standard, you will be able to purchase starting April 8th. And between April 8th and April 22nd, you'll be able to get the VIP access, which gives you an additional 3 group coaching sessions with me. And we'll be talking through any questions or concerns, all those things that come up about but in my business, but in my area, but with my clients, we'll be going through all of that. And then, so April 8th is when it starts. May 5th is when the cart closes. And then we begin, the standard drops on May 6th.
I love it. So just to clarify a little bit, so it's available for purchase on April 8th. Anybody that purchases between April 8th and April 22nd will have 3 group scheduled coaching sessions to ask all the questions, but this and la, 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 la. And then May 5th, the cart closes. So you can buy from April 22nd to May 5th, but you don't have access to those Zoom meetings. Okay. Correct. And then May 6th, it all gets delivered. So, Sandra, just one thing that comes to my mind. If the cart opens April 8th and I am part of that first lucky group of VIP designers that purchase it and get these 3 sessions, if I haven't reviewed the standard yet, what would I be pushing back on? What would I be saying but about, and what would I be asking you about?
Sure. So, okay, so that's part of those group sessions. The reason why we're doing those VIP sessions is I keep hearing from standard fans who want it now. And they're like, but I just need it right now. Like, I don't want to sign another client. I don't want to go down another confusing path of trying to figure out what my flat fee is. I just need it now. So the idea behind the group sessions was to give them a taste, a chance to ask those "but I need it now" questions. They're already part of the standard team. They're already part of the tribe. And, can we fast track them? Can we help? Really, it's about setting up for success. So is there any specific things that they need help with right this very minute that we can just coach through before the standard drops? And then also, it's a lot about setting yourself up to implement, right? So does this, are you blocking time? Are you getting ready for the standard? Are you, how many projects do you have open right now? How much time should I be blocking? Are you going to wait and start this with your next client that you sign? Or are you going to try to move through the system with the current group of clients? So it's really just a format to get together and to start build that tribe and to just offer our support as we wait for the product to drop.
So it goes through my mind certain things like I might be so excited to have it, but maybe I'm saying, well, once I have it, I've got a client that's coming up that I'm just signing. And yes, I could wait 2 weeks or whatever, 3 weeks to put them to start their process. But I might say to you, how much extra time if I'm going to put a new client in this right off the bat, and can I implement the standard with the new client at the same time? And you'll say to me, yes, you can, but leave extra time for, putting it all together. Or no, I would advise that you actually get the standard, learn it, play with it, and then introduce a different client. I'm not saying whatever one is right or wrong, but you're saying those are the kinds of things I'm going to ask, right?
Exactly.
And you're also things like you might say, well, because I know that your business is very heavily organized on Asana. So maybe during those couple of weeks, you would be saying to people, hey, get your Asana subscription signed up, start to implement your names in your projects, and, just play with it. Know how to use Asana, like test drive the car before we're ready to roll, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
And you're just giving them that background education of, it might take you 3 hours a week. Did you look ahead to your schedule for May 6th when this drops? Did you put 3 hours a week aside? And maybe you'll tell us you need 3 hours, your business manager needs 2 hours, your project manager needs 3 hours. It's those kinds of things.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. It's more logistics. And of course, again, it's that whole thing of but I have a question right now. We've been hearing that a lot. And so, of course, we're in the throes of getting it out and everything else. So we were like, you know what we'll do? We'll do these calls right, for that first wave of purchases, and it'll give them a target to look forward to. It'll give them a time to really have a personal conversation and ask their own questions. When you sign up, we're going to have a format where they can send questions ahead so we can, group it and batch it and make sure that we're addressing everything.
Love it. I love it. And do we want to say how much it cost?
Yes, it is $39.89.
$39.89. I love it. And you know me, I think it's about 10 grand too cheap, but I've been telling you that for a year and a half.
I know. And it's so funny. My husband was like, digging into the details and what's in this and what's going into it and what we're doing and all the time we've spent on it. And he goes, I just don't understand. I feel like if somebody wants this, they would, they want it. It's you're charging way too little for it. Mm-hmm. And I said, I know, but part of a new standard is that a lot of people can have access to it. And he's like, I just don't even know how we're married.
Jay.
Oh, the capitalist.
Oh, well, I do understand that outlook on it, but I have to say, I know, you know me, I've been telling you for 18 months that this is a $15,000, $20,000 product. It really is go to the head of the class. Don't have 3-4 years of learning every lesson that you've ever been burned by, that every designer out there has been burned by, and just figure it out from scratch. And to me, I land one big whale because I spent 20 grand on this process. It's all day long. It's worth it. But Sandra from House of Funk stands in her space, and she's offering it for $39.89, despite what Jay and LuAnn think.
I love you both. You're two of my biggest advisors. But yes, I wanted to make sure that this information could actually reach the designer who's who's struggling a bit and needs this catapult.
No, I admire that in you so much. And, Grasshopper doesn't have to do everything. The other one, like the mentor says. At some point, Grasshopper grows up and says, I'm sorry, I'm in charge. Oh my goodness. I love it, Sandra. You do. You have such a big heart, and that it's so clear that your values and your mission for House of Funk are so spot on and align with you as a person. Every person on your team expresses it. All of them are, it's hard not to use the words loving and kind when I think about Rania and Sarah and Kate and Ashley. It's not possible to not hear those adjectives when I picture them. And they get that from you. You lead with it. It reminds me of my cousin Eileen Hahn. It's, she's always trying to teach and counsel and empower businesses to lead with love. That's her line. Let's lead with love, know?
Cool.
Yeah. So really awesome, Sandra.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I know it has been such a team effort, and they have been behind me and with me and for this and championing it. And, I thank them so much. Such kudos.
Yeah, awesome. So if you want to get it, we're going to put it. It's going to be at interiordesignstandard.com/LuAnn. Make sure that you get there and you get part of that VIP. I mean, if you want to do it, there's no reason not to get that extra value, to have those Zoom calls with Sandra, because that's gold right there. So Sandra, I wish you the best of luck with it. You're not going to need any luck. It's such an amazing gift to the entire community. And I'm just so grateful and honored to know you and to work with you. Thank you.
The pleasure is all mine. Thank you, LuAnn. I appreciate it so much.
How much do you love this? I love it. I just love it. And and how much do you love Sandra? Honestly, now you know why that we're such good friends. She's just such a good human person on this planet, isn't she? I don't know if I've ever told you this story, but one time Sandra and I met for dinner. Now, this is on top of the story in Atlanta where we were with Sarah Daniele and Mark McDonough and Nancy Ganzikoffer and Leah Mayer Perez and other designers until from 6 o'clock at night till 1 o'clock in the morning sitting at a lobby, right? But that's, okay, you could understand that. There was probably 10 of us all hanging out, right? No, one time Sandra and I met for dinner at 6:30 here in New Jersey, and we're just going to have dinner and just catch up. 1 o'clock in the morning we left. 1 o'clock in the morning we did. And we only left at 1 o'clock in the morning because they made us. They made us leave. Otherwise, we would have been there all morning. So, but seriously, this woman is brilliant, and she has put in the hard work in getting her business locked down, and now she has taken it the next level, and she's put it all together for you, the Interior Design Standard, okay? You get her design fee calculator, you get her design agreement, you get the exact process that each interior design project follows, from the first potential client contact to pitching the photos to press. This is a franchise in a bag, right? Without a franchise, and like I said on the show, without all the fees and the royalties that you have to pay. So I just want to say, too, before I go any further, thank you tons to Article.com for sponsoring the show. If you have not opened up your trade account at Article yet, please go to welldesigned.article.com. Okay, welldesigned.article.com. And there you can sign up for your trade account, and you can start sourcing and specifying mid-century furniture for your next interior design project. Alrighty, so here's the thing. If you're listening in real time, we are at this little crisis here of the coronavirus. And we don't know. By the time you hear this show, gosh knows how much it will have even changed. It seems like every 2 or 3 days, it's a new reality with the coronavirus and with the quarantines and what's happening. So I don't know where we're at in real time when you hear this. But what I do know is that when I was recording, we were already experiencing, significant quarantine measures, curfews, children being home from school. And I have to say, this is the time to do specific things. And I had a specific show last Tuesday about what you have to do in your business. And if you missed that, then go back and listen to it, okay? It's the show directly before this one. But The other thing to do is to work on your business. And the design standard is exactly one of those things that you could do. Just like your kids, you might be homeschooling your kids, you could be one of the new people that sign up for the interior design standard, and you could just put it in your calendar 2 hours a day, 1 hour a day, to really just finally once and for all get your business organized. Okay. So the thing about it is this is the reason I'm bringing it up this way is because it's one thing to buy a program like this, and I'm going to tell you right now, $39.89. I said it in the show. I've been I've been arguing with her for 1.5 years on the price. Okay, that's no joke. All right, but $39.89. As much as I know it's a bargain for what you're getting, I also know that it's a significant amount of money. It's a significant amount of money to whoever you are, wherever you are in your business, okay? I don't underestimate that. But what I don't want to have happen is I don't want you to underestimate it. So if you feel and you know that you are ready once and for all to have it streamlined, and this is like if you went to buy a Starbucks today, do you think they would say, well, you've been a Starbucks client, how many times? You probably know how to work the barista machine and you've seen us do it. So, just go back and figure it out. No, they would say step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. That's what this is. So if you are searching for a process for your design firm, that's what this is. This isn't theory, and it's not like, well, you might do it this way and you might want to do this. No, this is exactly how she does it. So if that appeals to you, if you're like, oh, yes, just give me some of that. Just like, I don't want to think. I just want to know one way that works. That's what this is. And as much as I know $39.89 is a bargain, it is not a bargain if you buy it and you don't do it. Okay? You must do both. You must, what I always say, you must decide to act. You must make the decision not only to purchase it, but then to do it. Do not let it sit there in your, whatever it is, your inbox, your cloud, wherever it's going to sit, and don't do it. But that does bring me back to our current unfortunate situation, is that if you are quarantined and you are homeschooling your kids, when you get them going on an assignment, make your own assignment. Take the time over the next several weeks. If this appeals to you, take the time over the next several weeks to put it into action. All right? There's not a chance that I'm going to say that there's one good thing about this crisis that we're in. There's not a chance. It's patently absurd. This is a real, true crisis that we are facing globally, not even just in one city, one state, right? However, I will tell you that no matter what we're facing, you've got to get up every day and get through it. You've got to. You have to get up every day and do whatever you can to save your business, to lead your business through this. And if you can't go out every day and your clients are canceling appointment after appointment, then at least sit down and work on your business. And think about the craziness that if this wasn't happening and you weren't quarantined, you still probably would have been super excited to get this program. And then you would have said to yourself, well, how am I ever going to do it? So I'm kind of going on and on about this because I'm super excited about this opportunity for you. But there's nothing that makes me crazier is someone that invests in something and then doesn't do it. And, buys a book and it sits on a bookshelf, buys a course and it sits there, does the coaching and pays for the coaching and listens to the coaching session for an hour and then doesn't do the advice. So, it's a two-pronged thing. All right. But what an opportunity you have right here, right now, to get your interior design business locked down if you want to take advantage of it. All right. So I'd love for you to go to the, interiordesignstandard.com/LuAnn. Okay. Interiordesignstandard.com LuAnn.com/LuAnn. And of course, Sandra Funk, as a smart business lady, she's tracking where people are finding out about the interior design standard. So if you use that particular link, she'll know that you heard about it on the show, which is awesome for her because she gets to track it. It's awesome for me because I love my people to know that I'm supporting them. All righty? So I really thank you so much for coming and showing up today. I do implore you to take action to make sure that no matter what your situation is, if you are listening in real time, no matter what you're dealing with, that you are making good use of your days and your time, and that you are taking care for yourself and your people and your family, that they're safe, okay, and that you are just staying positive, staying real. It's what I said to you on Tuesday. Don't overreact, but don't not act, okay? Don't overreact, but don't not act. All right, guys. Sending you big hugs virtually that we all get through this, and huge hugs and thank you to Sandra Funk for literally just pouring her heart and soul into this product for you. And I have to say, a shout out to her team, Rania and Sarah and Kate and Ashley. They all work so hard, and they all are just amazing women. And a lot of their blood, sweat, and tears is in this product too. I'm sure of it. Alrighty. Have an excellent day. I really, really wish you all good things today. And I really, really hope that you decide to be excellent. Thank you so much for joining me again today. This podcast is a production of WindowWorks, your resource for custom window treatments and awnings. To learn how we can help you on your next interior design project, go to www.windowworks-nj.com. And if you're interested in working with me on your business, either through masterminds or one-on-one coaching, or you want to know how to get my book, The Making of a Well-Designed Business, or you just want to know what's going on in the podcast land and where I'm going to be, all of that is found at LuAnnNigara.com. Thank you so much. Have an excellent day.